Well, now, Mr. Bixby took the wheel from the mate, and in no time at all, he had taken that boat right back over against the bank, and he was scraping it again, just like it was daylight. And not only that, he was singing, "Father in heaven, the day is declining." I began to realize I had put my life in the hands of a peculiarly reckless outcast. And then Mr. Bixby turned to me, and he said, "What's the name of the first point above New Orleans?" Well, I was gratified to be able to answer promptly, and I did. Said I didn't know. He said, "You don't know?" Well, his manner jolted me. I was right back down at the foot again. But I could only repeat the same answer. He said, "Well, that doesn't mean it. What's the name of the next point?" Again, I didn't know. He said, "Well, you're a smart one, aren't you? Tell me the name of any place or point I told you." Well, I reflected respectfully for a while and decided that I couldn't. He said, "Well, look here, what do we cross over from? What do we start from to cross over above 12 Mile Point?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." He said, You don't know?" I said, "No." He said, "What do you know?" And I said, "Well, nothing, for certain." And he said, "By the great Caesar's ghost, I believe you are the stupidest dunderhead I have ever seen or heard tell of. The idea that you could pilot a boat. You don't have brains enough to pilot a cow down a lane." Oh, his wrath was up. He was a nervous man, and he would skip from side to side of the wheel, and he would simmer a while, and he would boil over and scald me again. And finally he said, "Look here, what do you think I told you all those things for?" And then the devil of temptation prompted me to say, "Well, to be entertaining, I thought." Well, this was the red flag to the bull. He raged and he stormed so. We were crossing the river at the time, and I judge it made him blind because he ran over the steering oar on a trading scow. Well, of course, the scowmen sent up a volley of red-hot profanity, and never was a man so happy as Mr. Bixby was, because he was brim full, and here was somebody who could answer back. He stuck his head out the window, and there followed such an eruption as I had never heard in my life. And the fainter and farther away the scowmen turned, the louder Mr. Bixby's voice and the weightier his attitude. When he pulled his head back in the window, he was empty. You could have dragged the same through his system, not turned up enough curse words to upset your mother. And then he turned to me and he said, with the quietest voice now, she said, my boy, you must get a little memorandum. And when I tell you a thing, you must write it down." He said, "There's only one way to be a pilot. You've got to learn the river. You got to learn every inch of it. And you got to learn it by heart. You got to know it, just like ABC.